And for the processing, again, just overdrive and EQ all the stock plugins, you know? You ready? With the beat it will sound like this. Let me think, how should I start this off the best possible way? Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, imagine guys you are trying to get into the music production, right? And let's assume you are absolute beginners. So most probably you are on YouTube digging through music production tutorials, watching hours and hours of content, and you're seeing all these crazy music producers with the crazy equipment, with the crazy VSTs and DAWs and all that. And that kind of puts the seed in your head that you are required to have all these things in order to produce good music, or in order to produce industry standard music, so to say. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and if you don't feel that way, that's absolutely amazing. But when I was starting out, and also many of my friends, we used to think that way. We used to think that we need all this crazy equipment and tools in order to make great music, you know, and without these things we will never be as good as these producers, or we will never be able to make truly industry standard music, if you see what I mean. And sometimes, especially when you're just starting out and you do not have the access to these tools, that can get really discouraging really fast. You are watching all these videos and like, damn, I can't have all these tools, you know, that they are using, so I might as well not even start because I just can't do that, you know, right now. But I can guarantee you 100% that this is absolutely not true. You can always start out and you can make music and you can be as great. Also, very often the reason you see all these things are being used by these crazy producers is because these guys have following, they have the platform. So the plugin companies, obviously, they reach out to them in order to promote these tools. So these guys are actually getting paid to use these tools on videos. There is nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, okay? Let me clarify something. Let me tell you this, guys. All these tools, they will obviously make your life easier and your workflow faster, but my point here is not to get caught up with this idea that you need all these tools just to start out. And I don't know, I just kind of felt like this is important to highlight this topic, because now if I go on YouTube, I'm still learning every day. I'm going on YouTube to check like the music production tutorials and what's new and all that stuff, and there is so much, you know, you kind of lose the track of everything that is happening. You're like, oh, this is there and this is new and I need this and that, you know. If I would, guys, show you how much stuff I have collected from the past 10 years of me producing music, so many sample packs, so many plugins, I barely use 15% of all that stuff. But making music in general is not about that. It's none of that stuff. And I can promise you that if you have, let's say, $25 a month and you just use Splice because you're gonna pay $17 for Studio One, which is DAW for music production, if you can't afford to buy a copy of Ableton or Fruity Loops, you know, stuff like that, you can have this rent to own thing on Splice where you pay $17 a month and you will be able to gain the access to Studio One, which is a great DAW for music production. And then also you will need $8 a month to download like 100 credits from Splice, meaning like 100 samples, 100 sounds, and this is like way enough to make 30 beats a month. Also, I promise you, if you're gonna master your DAW, because these DAWs these days are so crazy powerful, they come with crazy synthesizers, crazy stock sounds, crazy stock plugins. If you will just invest the time to master DAW that you're using, you will save yourself crazy amount of money by not buying all the fancy plugins, because you will be able to do 90% of the same stuff with the stock plugins that you have. And in fact, I want to prove it to you today, because I want to make a beat in Ableton Live, because this is my DAW of choice, but you can do the same thing in any other DAW. So today I just want to use some samples from Splice, which is $8 a month. This is the subscription that I have. The video is not sponsored or whatsoever. I'm just kind of trying to highlight the fact that you can do a lot with very little. So let's open Ableton Live and let's see if I can make a beat using just Splice and just Ableton's stock plugins. Let's get it. Here we are in Ableton Live, and here is my Splice sample pack folder, and these are all Splice sample packs that I have. For me, it's just easier to kind of download the whole pack from Splice, because I don't really like the desktop app that they have. The search engine is a bit weird for me, so anyways. And also, I've been working on a lot of like R&B down-tempo stuff lately, so today I think I can do something up-tempo, maybe something like Timberland-ish, something really groovy, club-ish, you know. So if we are going for like a Timberland-ish groove, we can start with the drums. So I will start with the snare drum just to kind of get the rhythm going. And I'm not gonna name every sample that I'm using because, as I told you, I'm using pretty much all these Umru packs. So just see here for the name, stop the video and check for yourself, okay? So this is the snare that I'm using. Let's just throw it in. So now we have a snare drum going. It's on every third hit. Let's do the kick now, and in my head I kind of hear bum ba bum 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 ba bum, something like that, okay? Okay, so here is the kick and snare together. You see how clean these samples are? Like they barely need any processing. Look, for the kick drum, I have nothing. It's just EQ, but this is the default EQ. He doesn't do anything. And for the snare, all I have is exactly the same EQ, but just removing a little bit of the low end just to make it a bit cleaner, and a bit of high end at 12,000. That's it. EQ you will find in every DAW in the world. I'm sure about that. So next up, I have this percussion sound. Again, the same sample pack. It sounds like this. I'll be using this percussion to kind of give a little offbeat feel to the drums. Here is the pattern that I came up with for the percussion. You know, nothing too crazy, just kind of offbeat groove. I think we should add another percussion, and I have this one. It sounds like this. And it's again from the same sample pack. And you can see here at the EQ, it's already without the low end. I mean, these samples, they are so processed, they are so well done, you barely need anything to actually make something that sounds really, really good. For the second percussion, I just kept the basic two-step rhythm. All I did is kind of change the velocity. So the first one is going full volume, and the second one is at 50, okay? And to me, it kind of feels like to really get to this Timberland kind of groove, we need to add a few toms, maybe a few wooden percussions, and maybe a few hi-hat rolls here and there. And again, I'll be doing that using only splice samples. So let me do that really quickly, add few details here and there, and I will explain you after how I did that, and I will come back to you, okay?
Ooh, that's dope.
I'm back. I'm gonna play the drum loop for you guys just to show you what I came up with, and then I will go through every individual sound just to kind of show you what I did for you guys to have a bit of understanding, okay? So the drum loop sounds like this. And there you go, this is the drum loop so far. I know it's a bit squeaky and all that, but that was kind of my goal, I guess. I really wanted to use a lot of tonal sounds for this one, a lot kind of weird sounds, if you will, not so standard, you know, just to kind of get the bounce going. And again, just to tell you guys, all the sounds that I've used, they came from the Umru Splice kit. So you can get all of these sounds off Splice, okay? So we can just go quickly through some of the sounds that I've added for the drum loop. And the first thing I've added was this effect sound, and I kind of added this sound on top of a few kicks. It sounds like this, and with the kick. So yeah, this sound is kind of highlighting few of the kicks, and now it might not make so much sense, but in the context of whole drum loop it makes sense because it gives more bounce when you hear certain kicks there just hitting like harder with the layer. And for the snare, I've just added this open hi-hat on every second snare, again just to kind of emphasize every second snare hit. And this is the thing that I do very often, I kind of layer sounds to get more bounce. So now in our drum loop, each second snare is layered with the open hi-hat, and it sounds like this. You see? After I came up with this hi-hat pattern, and again in my head I always had this like Timberland-ish groove, so I kind of used almost like a tonal hi-hat, and that's why I kind of came up with this pattern. Sounds like this. Yeah. Yeah, velocity change will kind of help you get more groove out of your hi-hats, but I'm sure you guys know that. And if you don't, make sure you do that because it really helps and makes a big difference, okay? After I've added another hi-hat just to do some hi-hat rolls, nothing too crazy, altogether would sound like this. you know. The second hi-hat, all it does, it just actually adds a bit more rhythm because it appears here and there, so it kind of adds more groove, you know, to the beat. After I've added the synth shot, together sounds like this. Then I have this very high-pitched tom sound. Okay, some more toms. Then I've added this vocal sample that really makes a lot of difference to me when it comes to the groove, because it adds a lot of like, I don't know how to explain. Really, like, it makes your neck move, you know? Yeah. And then finally just a crash here, okay? So yeah, I hope it makes sense. And for the processing for the drums, all I did is I was just using the EQ here and there to just remove the low end for the sounds not to clash with each other, you know, like for example for this effect I've removed a lot of low end because it would clash with the kick. Like this it doesn't, you know, because I only kind of need the texture from this sound. You see the vocal, it's like, it really gives a lot of rhythm to me for the drum pattern. Yeah. For the drums, that's it. I think we can do the bass now. And you know, in my head I kind of hear this beat as really drum and bass driven, so I'm not gonna do any crazy melodies or chords or nothing like that. So what I want to do kinda is really just to add a heavy bass line, like aggressive one, and then on top of that I would maybe add like a wonky tonal sound, and that's pretty much it. This is how I hear it in my head. So let me find a good bass one shot and some funky sounds. I'll finish the beat real quick and I'll come back to you guys to explain you what I did, okay?
Ooh, that's dope.
Okay, so I'm back and I kind of finished the track, to be honest. Let me just show you what I've added. So for the bass, this is the bass that I'm using. Again, the same sample pack. It's the bass crispy 808 in key of C. Oh, and here is the pattern for 808. It pretty much follows the kick at all times. So 808 on its own would sound like this. You know, nothing crazy. The fifth up. But then what I did, I've layered another 808 on top of the first one, and then for the second 808 I just wanted to have the high-end rumble, you know, to add the texture, so I removed all the low end, and for the processing I only added the overdrive, and the layer itself would sound like this. And together with 808, you know. So now the 808 and the drums together would sound like this. Oh, it's hard. And as I told you before, I was also looking for like a wonky sound to add on top of the drums and bass, you know, not to kind of fill up too much space, but just to add a little bit of like a harmonic content, you know, to the beat. And then I found this loop from the same guy, from the same sample pack, and I chopped it up and it sounds like this. And for the processing, again, just overdrive and EQ all the stock plugins, you know. You ready? With the beat it will sound like this. Yeah. Hard. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it for the beat. All I did though is I've added the saturator on the master and I've just pulled up the gain +4. So without the saturator, it's like this. And with the saturator, you know, it's louder. You can see that the average volume goes up. And there you go, people, that's it for this one. Just simply using the splice samples and a few stock Ableton plugins, I think we made a really dope beat. I know it's not like a typical trap or drill or R&B or whatever type of beat, but I was just a bit tired of ordinary because I was working so much on the basic stuff. But to be honest with you people, I can easily hear like Ski Mask the Slump God or JID on this type of beat, you know, because this beat kind of came out a bit more experimental, so they might sign up for something like that, at least in my head, you know. Anyways, the point of this video for me was to kind of show you guys that you can do a lot these days with just like $25 a month, especially with Splice and all these other subscription platforms. For example, I'm using Vavs, it's like $5 a month. They have incredible R&B soul samples, and trust me, you don't necessarily need all the crazy plugins, especially in the beginning stage when you're kind of just diving into the production. Just kind of make sure you invest some time to master the software that you're using, to really understand the possibilities of your DAW, because they are probably endless, you know, and once you kind of master them, there is almost nothing you can't really do. Yeah, for the rest, nothing really else to add. Just wanted to make sure you guys stay working and you do not get discouraged if you don't have access to all these crazy tools. You know, you can do so much without them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed what I did here. If you did, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying really hard to get to my 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would highly appreciate that. Thank you in advance. For the rest, my name is Almost Famous. I'm signing out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.